this next session leads on from the previous session in terms of the value of education, and we spoke about knowledge and skills within responsible tourism. And now we're going to hear about 3 different models of education that's being used to try and enhance the responsible tourism offer in 3 different locations. Here in Hastings, the classroom on the coast. Some of you have been lucky enough to enjoy some of that, and you'll get a live lesson from Tush at the end of this session. We'll also hear from Flanders House of Food about their model, Muum. Get it wrong every time, I'm sorry. And then the 3rd model from Nausica, Mr. Goodfish. So this has been a really valuable knowledge exchange between these 3 partners into trying to understand the role of education within responsible tourism. Through talking through the detail of the different models that each of these 3 examples play, we've thought about the structure of that in terms of guiding principles, in terms of the different scales of application, but also up and down the supply chain in terms of integration, how the different models use that differently, but still with the same underlying principles, and then how each of those 3 different models have used different styles of governance in order to ensure the quality delivery of that education, that link between sustainable foods and the end consumer, and how that might work to enhance responsible tourism wherever you are. So as we developed this model as a function of the partnerships between the 3 of us, we were thinking that if we could put it into a structure, that might, even though we're very different in the way that we've worked, actually there is some commonality there that makes explicit this integral link between alternative education models and responsible tourism. So I haven't got time to go through the detail of the Section B and Section C, which is the governance and also the scales of integration. But I just wanted to put up there the guiding principles that we found that were common to all 3 examples. And it's remarkable when you start talking, you start having this conversation between the different partners, that even though on the face of it, the examples are quite different in scale, they're quite different in terms of obviously the locality and the geography of where they're playing out. They're different in terms of the way they're physically set up, in terms of structure. But actually, there are some key underpinning principles that quite explicitly link to the declaration that we heard about yesterday. Those 3 principles are authenticity, locality, and sustainability. We speak a little bit more about this in the publication that is linked to Tourfish, so I won't labor the point here, and actually I'd rather you enjoy the detail about the 3 different case studies so that you can take some of those lessons home to think about how you might apply that in your own policy environment, how you might apply that in your own industry, how you might apply that in your own job, or maybe even more importantly, how you might employ these principles as a responsible tourist. And it's making that link that we feel is really important, and we hope that this model and the case studies that you're going to hear about over the next 45 minutes and the wonderful demonstration that you're going to get from Tush in terms of filleting, and which is an example of a live lesson that he does in the classroom on the coast down on the stage, quite clearly how central education is. I think I've already covered that. I don't need to do that now. So without further ado, can I please welcome Flanders House of Food to introduce their Muum example, and they'll talk you through that for a little while, and then we'll do the Mr. Goodfish example, and then I'll ask you to stand up, gather round, and you can have a live lesson from Tush. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Joanne. So let me first maybe repeat, or try to repeat, The name of our organization or our experience center is very Flemish. It's MUM. And I shouldn't say it's Flemish since it's not a word, it's not an existing word. So I understand the difficulties. Anyhow, let's talk about the Flanders House of Food, which will be more easy, I guess. So the Flanders House of Food is located in an ancient bottling room of the Rodenbach brewery, in fact. And with this experience center, we want to promote the entire agri-food sector in our region. This seems quite challenging, educating children, youngsters in an ancient bottling room of a beer brewery. Anyhow, this is the way we want to do it and attract people and inform them. What is the Flanders House of Food? In fact, we are a unique interactive experience center on food and on the entire agri-food sector, located in Roeselare. That's not too far from Rouge. Maybe that's better known for you. In fact, we are a not-for-profit organization based on a public-private collaboration with the support of knowledge centers. So yesterday we were discussing also the triple helix system. This is a basis we want to reflect in our proper organization as well. So that's very important if we want to create added value as an organization. Yeah. Our mission holds 3 key elements. In fact, we want to improve the food knowledge of the general public. I told you already that we really target at young people as well, but in fact, the last 2 years we experienced lots of good signals from a very broad public. We had elderly coming over, we had really even younger children coming over, and we experienced lots of interesting signals from all of these target groups. The second key element is to improve the image of the agri-food sector. In fact, we want to create an enthusiasm amongst these youngsters to find, later on, to find themselves an education or a job in this sector, a responsible one, very important. So this is the third key element already in stimulating these young people towards the sector. Our activities are threefold as well. Our current activities are focused on the target group 10 to 18 years old people. We will see a short movie later on that guides you through the experience center to the Flanders House of Food. So that will tell you all about it. Our second activity focuses on 4 to 10-year-olds, but we are starting this activity up as we speak. This was created thanks to the Fish and Chips project, as well as the third activity, the Taste Academy. And these second and third activities will be explained by my colleague, Rebecca. So the first activity for the target group 10 to 18 years old, as I said, the movie explains it the best, things we do. After the short movie, I will tell you a little bit more about the educational packages we combine with a visit of the Flanders House of Food. So please enjoy this short movie. Thank you.
In de voormalige bottelarij van brouwerij Rodenbach in Roeselare is sinds kort het Mium open. Dit Vlaams huis van de voeding is het epicentrum voor wie op een speelse manier alles wil te weten komen over gezond eten. Experte Brigitte staat me met kennis te woord.
Hier draait alles rond voeding. Inderdaad. Dit is het huis waar je moet zijn, het Vlaams huis van de voeding. Het is eigenlijk enig in de Benelux, want het is een informatie- en belevingscentrum waar je eigenlijk alles te weten komt over voeding. We gaan de hele keten langs. Hoe komt iets op je bord terecht? Van grond tot mond. En dat kan je hier allemaal te weten komen. We willen het geen museum noemen. Het is een interactief doe- en belevingscentrum. Dus je kan hier allerlei dingen gaan doen. Je leert iets bij, maar op een hele leuke, entertaining way.
Ja, zoals? Wat kan je hier zoal doen?
Nou, je kan je eigen voedingspyramide samenstellen om eens te kijken hoe goed je wel je eigen inzicht hebt in je eigen voedingspatroon. Je kan...
Kan je iets proeven?
Je kan iets proeven.
Ja?
Er zijn 5 soorten smaken. Ik laat je die zelf ontdekken welke die zijn. En die kan je gaan proeven en kijken waar op je tong welke smaak het beste tot uiting komt.
If you want some more information on the current activities on the MUM, during lunchtime, obviously, we have a stand downstairs, so please visit us. We will tell you all about the Flanders House of Food itself. As I said, we also combine thematic educational workshops for these mostly groups of school groups that visit us. So an hour and a half after, no, it takes an hour and a half to visit the MUM. Afterwards, we have an hour and a half of an educational workshop. So that's a nice package for a school. We have several educational workshops, teaching, for example, teaching the kids the way, for example, of a pig. All the parts of a pig are used in the food processing world. So they really teach every single aspect of a pig, finds its way to the market and is being processed. That's only one niche educational workshop I wanted to mention. For the less than 10-year-olds, we are now also developing workshops in combination with visiting the minimum, which will be explained by Rebecca in a few moments now. But let me first say that we also really want to take these young people to the companies, to the food processors themselves, since in our artificial, let's say, Flanders House of Food, we can give them an image, we can give them a view on what it's all about in the sector, but they really have to experience it in the real sector themselves. So we really try to combine not only a visit with workshops, but also a visit with a company visit, and therefore we have lots of partners within the sector that welcome these young people and maybe young workers, potential workers for their company. So that's the way we try to organize things. Rebecca?
Our second activity is the Minimum Experience Center. On this draft image, you can see that the Minimum guides children through the entire food chain from farm to fork. The concept of this Minimum was established through extensive cooperation and consultation between ourselves, knowledge institutes, primary schools, and the designers. All elements of the food chain are present. There's a farm, there's a factory, a supermarket, and a kitchen at home. So edutainment, it's all about edutainment actually for the children, about the provenance. Children realize that milk comes from the cow, and they learn about how the way it gets to the supermarket. About seasonality, they also learn that in the vegetable garden, they learn about provenance and seasonality of the vegetables. And also they learn to know the industry through interactive computer games. For example, they can transform corns into cereals or cornflakes. So it's really about hands-on doing, experiencing, and edutainment. Our third activity, through the European funding, it allowed us to develop an innovative cooking studio. We call it our Taste Academy. This is what it's going to look like. We have a demonstration kitchen in the front and 9 mobile cooking units behind it, and they are also adjustable in height. I was at the Midsummer Fest here in Hastings, and the classroom on the coast really gave me some good ideas to further extend this one, and also the workshops they were doing. I was really learning a lot from that. It also has a lot of common things between them, because they also want to learn children about seasonality and provenance. It makes them aware about their own identity and about their own locality. So the Taste Academy, there will be activities for all sorts of target groups: children, elderly, disabled people, businesses, team incentive, whatnot. There will be thematic workshops on promotion of local food, and we will also have workshops on curious combinations such as children, food and music, or food and heritage. So, to know more about our edutainment center, please, you can visit us, or you can, if it's too far, you can take a look on our website. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, thank you everyone. I'd like to now introduce Natalie from Nausica, and she's going to talk you through the Mr. Good Fish model. And again, the common themes between all three will start to become increasingly apparent as ably demonstrated by Flanders House of Food. So thank you to them. Natalie, thank you.
Okay, good morning everybody. I hope that I won't be too long and too boring. So, Nausica, you wonder what is an aquarium. Some of you may think that an aquarium is just a bowl with a fish in there. It's more than that. First of all, for the general public and various stakeholders, we are considered as the most credible and reliable source of information on oceans. Secondly, we are perceived as the third most important source of information after the media. So where are we? We're just 2 hours from here, 2 hours from Brussels, 3 hours from Paris, 2 hours from London. So we really have, I would say, visitors coming from the 3 countries, France, Belgium, and the UK. But we are based in France, in the region of Nord-Pas-de-Calais. We are the second busiest tourist attraction, north of Paris. We are, of course, exhibiting giant aquariums with species from all over the world. Those species are presented through very interactive and extraordinary museography. We really try to create an interactivity with our visitors so they can really bring back home some lessons, some information about the various exhibits we have. We have also live shows. Those are really, I would say, popular because they can have a show on sea lions, penguins. It's mainly, we do present feeding activities, but it's a great way to present the behavior of those animals to our public. And of course, we bring our expertise and our creativity to our visitors. We have approximately 600,000 visitors every year. That's an average. We have 10 exhibit spaces. And every 3 years, we welcome a new temporary exhibit. And this temporary exhibit usually is based on the high topic or the hot topic in the EU or in France. So the purpose of Nausica, as I said, we are not just a fish bowl. We are much more than that. We've been established to operate and develop a center for touristic, economical, cultural, educational, and scientific development. If you know our region was mainly industrial in the 30 years ago. So the goal of the region was really to redynamize, give a new dynamic to the region, create new jobs, transform the industry-based activity to a more touristy approach. So for us, our goal is to have a long-term and sustainable touristic activity which brings touristic and economic development to the region. That's a must. The second thing we have to develop in our region, in the region Nord-Pas-de-Calais and beyond, a reference site for advocacy activities on sustainable management of the oceans. Our third goal is, of course, to share educative, scientific, and multimedia resources through our website and various online activities through our various partnerships. And of course, we have a wide network of partners with science institutions, NGOs, and education partners, and this not only in France, in the EU, and also all over the world. Our mission, we are public service. We are a mixed economy company, from the private sector and the public fund. Our mission is to raise awareness and educate the public about new behaviors regarding the ocean, better resource management, and invite them to take action in order to safeguard the future of mankind. It's really important that we generate emotions and emotions. If you don't have that emotion or that, I would say, not feedback, but reaction from a visitor, we lost. If we give them an emotion, it's a win activity, and we do that through our renewed exhibit and activities through the aquarium. Education is our main and, I would say, pillar activity. We have to inform and raise the public awareness through our program, because our objective is that they do not only come and see our exhibit, they have to bring back home something that they have learned, and something that can inspire them to change their behavior or to improve their behavior toward the oceans. And this is in particular even more important that if we look in the past, what our grandparents have given as an inheritance from the ocean, and what we want to give our children, there's less, I would say, so we have to give more and actually act to do something better. So the purpose of Nausica. Yes, it's, yeah, okay. It's okay. Oh. Don't move. Okay. We have various stakeholders. I would say that being a public aquaria, I would say interactive museum, science center, new generation aquarium, we have so many names to call ourselves, is a great asset. We are a hub, and we are neutral, so we are a great center for sharing and for exchanging with various stakeholders, which won't be able to sit around the same table without fighting if we were not there. First of all, of course, the general public. As an aquarium, being a museum, we have to generate and have a dialogue, create a dialogue with our general public. But also we have an exchange. It's a great way to create dialogue and get feedbacks on what we do and the programs we run. And this is important not only for the media and for the press, but also for the governments and EU institutions, because they can get back the information from the public level, what's happening really on the ground. When you're sitting in Brussels, sometimes you're a bit lost, you don't really know what's happening on the ground, and vice versa. You want also to share what are your high priorities. We've been talking about the Fisherman priorities, but if the government, the French government, or if the EU Commission don't take into consideration what's happening on the ground, it can be a problem, and that we've seen in France with the Fisherman. So we've been able to also exchange information with the governments and get back the information to our public and to our various partners. And of course, we have various partnerships with scientific and professionals. Yes, our cultural impact. So let's get more into what interests you. We've been launching, that's one of the programs, because we work on different and a various number of international programs. This is our Mr. Good Fish program. It's been launched in 2010 under the umbrella of the World Ocean Network, which regroups hundreds of institutions dedicated to raise awareness on ocean preservation. And in Europe, it's been launched at 3 aquariums. One in Italy at the Aquarium di Genova, the Aquarium Finisterre in Coruña in Spain, and in France at Nausica. The aim of the program is to create a positive incentive for consumers and the commitment, of course, of the industry. We work with the entire chain of custody from fishing to the plate. So meaning we work with the fishermen, we work with the fishmongers, with the criers, with the wholesalers. In France, for instance, we work with Metro Cash and Carry, with the restaurants, with the canteens at school, and the end consumers, of course, is being sensitized by going to its fishmongers, going to the restaurants, and of course when they visit our aquariums, because we of course present our Mr. Good Fish program. So it's a bit, I would say, of a it's not a bit, it's a challenging program because we work with the professionals and we work with the general public. So it means that we have to develop a communications dedicated to the professional, because we don't speak to a fisherman as we speak to a kid. So we have various tools available, and one of them we've been using is the clip which is presented and available on our website that we present at conference like today, just to introduce our program.
You like eating fish, but some species, as they're being overfished, could disappear. To continue to eat fish tomorrow, you'd better choose it well now. Hello, I'm Mr. Goodfish, a fish lover. I'm going to help you to choose the fish you will eat. With me, you will discover new species, delicious, tasty, exquisite, and you will learn how to cook them. To choose the right fish today, follow the sign. Get all my advice on mrgoodfish.com.
Thanks. So this is our clip to introduce our European program. Of course, you can have more information on our website, mrgoodfish.com, and it's not yet available in Dutch, but I hope soon. It's available in English, Spanish, Galician, French, and Italian. This is, and it's important to the education at our site. This is the photo exhibit we have had at Aquarium di Genova. Each of the 3 aquariums do present the Mr. Good Fish program on site, because you cannot run and promote a program if you don't do it at home. And I would say, to know more about Mr. Good Fish, Florence, my colleague, will present it in this afternoon session. So you will know more about the content of our program, our positive approach, and how to find the Mr. Good Fish products. Thank you.
Thank you, Natalie. That's brilliant. And what a fabulous program. I think you all agree. I'm now going to ask Yasmin to come back up to the stage again. And she's going to briefly introduce the next model that we've been looking at in this knowledge exchange, which has been through the work here in Hastings. And she's going to introduce the 3 different lessons that you're going to experience over the next 15, 20 minutes.
So, thank you again. Just to say to you, we're better to go for the knowledge than the people who have the skills and knowledge handed down from generations and from father to son, mother to daughter. So, my colleague here Janet Coughlin, Fisherman's wife. So, sorry about that, Janet, you were missed out then. Fisherman's wife came into global kitchen lesson that we were holding in the classroom, and did some fish filleting, passing it on to lots of ladies who wouldn't necessarily have come together in our classroom. So the next, we're passionate about our sustainability in Hastings. We had MSc on 3 species, and on herring, Dover sole, and mackerel, and one of the things we're really passionate about is getting you to eat and enjoy fish. So we're going to introduce you to an animation by Paul Joy.
My name's Paul Joy. I'm a fisherman from Hastings. Here we have the largest beach launch fleet in Europe, as well as the oldest in the country. All our boats in our fleet are under 10 metres in length and go out every day. Using a range of traditional fishing methods, we typically catch cuttlefish, sole, herring, mackerel and cod, and plaice. Our fleet's sustainable fishing practices include the changing of mesh size to target key species that are grown big enough to be caught. This stops the destruction of the juveniles and preserves the next generation of fish. We've been fishing sustainably for generations, so no changes were necessary to pass as an MSC certified fishery. You need to fish with the right amount of net, not discard too much catch, and have a sustainably strong stock. If you have a valuable species such as sole and you decimate that stock, you're decimating your own future. Why kill something before it's had a chance to breed? But because we fish sustainably, our stocks have remained very healthy over the years. Fisheries are under a microscope as never before. Everybody is saying that the fisherman is the bad man. He pillages the sea, takes everything and goes. The truth is, we are more custodians of the sea, much more like farmers. We look after the next year's crop. These are turbulent times for the fishing industry. The Hastings fleet has always worked with marine science to make sure that we're doing the right thing to benefit the environment. It has been advantageous working with like-minded NGOs such as Greenpeace, making sure we fish in a sustainable way now so our children will benefit in the long run. Our strength politically and environmentally is people knowing what we are, who we are and what we actually do. By working with the local chefs and restaurants and promoting the use of seasonal fish, we ensure that the journey from boat to plate is as short as possible. Most people just see the fishing boats go out, catch fish and think that's the end of it. It isn't. It's far more complex. We feel it very important to pass on our knowledge to the next generation, working with schools especially, teaching them how important sustainability is for the fleet and the ecosystem as a whole. Currently, the Hastings fleet has about 26 boats active on a daily basis. We hope in the future this will be increased so that we can get more youngsters into the industry. If fishing is going to continue in the future, sustainable fisheries must be seen as the way forward and not a thing of the past.